Hello, I'm John McNamara, Information Architect for IBM Messaging, and today I'm here with Chris Matthewson, and we're going to talk about how to diagnose problems you might find with SSL connections from client connections into the Queue Manager. But first of all, Chris, do you want to say what you do at IBM and who you are?
Hi, I'm Chris Matthewson. I work in the MQ, Java, and JMS Level 3 service team.
Okay, so this demonstration you're giving of diagnostics, who would it be useful for?
Well, one of the issues we see come in relatively commonly in the Level 3 team is when customers are trying to secure and encrypt their connections down from clients to the Queue Manager by enabling SSL, and it's fairly common for people to get errors while they're doing that. And so what the purpose of this video is really for people who are trying to secure those connections, just to be able to diagnose and resolve their own problems without having to go to all the extra overhead of raising PMRs and sorting through manuals to find out what's going on.
Okay, for those people who are quite new to the realm of security, what benefit does SSL give you when you're connecting up a client connection to a Queue Manager?
It allows you to validate each end of the connection, so you know who each end is. Allows you to encrypt the data that's been sent across. It allows you to to take a hash of the data being sent across, so you know that the data that's been sent is the data that's arriving.
That's awesome, buddy. So, yeah, should we kick the tires and go to Will, buddy? Can you give us a show and give us a demonstration of what you mean?
Okay, sure. I'm going to just do a quick demo of two different scenarios here of how to diagnose and resolve problems that you might commonly see when you're securing connections from the client to the Queue Manager. So if I just share my screen here and show you what I'm doing. Okay. You still see that?
Yeah, perfect, buddy.
Okay, great. So what I've got here is I've got standard Eclipse window. I've got a JMS application which I've set up to use SSL. I've specified my key store and trust store. I've got my cipher set up here. But if I introduce a problem to the actual setup, so to demonstrate how to resolve these problems by removing the cipher here. And what I'm going to do is just point at the places that you need to look when you're actually trying to work out. Hang on, my headset just started doing something strange there. Oh, is that still working?
Oh yeah, still that and proud, buddy.
Okay, it's the powering off.
No.
Anyway, okay, so I've removed that cipher on there. So if we now try and make a connection with this application to the Queue Manager. Okay, we can see there that fails, and we say remote cipher spec error with a channel to host. So that's relatively explanatory. You think, right, my connection failed, I've got some error with my remote cipher spec. The one log you really need to look at anytime you're diagnosing SSL problems is the AMQ error log from your Queue Manager. And as you can see here, this is in your program files, IBM MQ, or wherever you've installed it, directory Queue Managers, Queue Manager name /errors. And these error logs here are the ones specific for the Queue Manager, and they are where pretty much all of your SSL errors will go to. And if you look to the bottom here, this one's got a very nice explanatory error. Channel cipher.test did not specify a valid cipher spec. Action, change channel to specify a valid cipher spec. So this is about as easy a problem as you're likely to find. All you need to do is look at the error in that particular log, and most of the time it'll tell you what the problem is and how to fix it. So if we go back into the properties, change this so we're actually specifying something. I'm specifying null SHA there, which is the equivalent of the one I've set in Eclipse. Refresh my SSL configuration. Okay, run that again. And there it connects, okay. Okay, so that's a fairly straightforward one. Most of the errors you'll see, the error will come out into that AMQ error log, and that'll just tell you exactly what the problem is. So you just need to know that that's the place to look. Sometimes if you get slightly more complicated problems, specifically to do with certificates, you can get an error in that log which is slightly more cryptic, and you need to use that in combination with the error that gets thrown out at the client side too to actually diagnose what the problem is. So I'm just going to do a quick example of that. So I've got my my key store here for the client, and I'm just going to remove this personal certificate to cause a problem. Okay, so if we try and connect this now, I've got client authentication enabled for this SSL connection, so this should fail. And we can see there, well, it's failed with Queue Manager not available, which, well, if you know about MQ, you look at your Queue Manager and say, well, my Queue Manager is available there, my listener's running, why has that failed to connect? So if you look at the error log, it's reloaded, and we've got an error saying channel is lacking a certificate. And that's true, we know that, but this doesn't really tell us much more. And that says make sure the appropriate certificates are correctly configured in the key repositories at both ends of the channel. So this doesn't tell us much more than we were missing a certificate. What we need to know is exactly which certificate we're missing. So there's one piece of documentation which is very useful to use to diagnose these type of problems. And this is a document I've written. It's available at the moment as a tech note. This is going to be available fairly soon in the Knowledge Center to allow customers to diagnose their own problems in this way. And this is just a list of all of the different types of problems you could get in setting up your SSL configuration and the errors you would expect to see at the client side and in this AMQ error log when you get those errors. So you can see here the error we're seeing is an AMQ 9637, channel lacking certificate. And there's two different potential reasons you can get that in this doc here. We've got this one here saying missing server personal certificate, and this one saying client missing personal certificate. So it's got to be one of these two here. So the difference between them is what you actually get at the client side. You can see if you're missing your client personal certificate, you'll get that error at the Queue Manager side, but you'll get a 2059 channel negotiation failed. If you're actually missing your Queue Manager, your server side personal certificate, you'll get this SSL handshake exception and SSL peer shutdown incorrectly. So if we look back at what we actually got in our application, we can see we got AMQ. We got this there 2059, Queue Manager not available, channel negotiation failed. That's this one here. This is client missing personal certificate. Well, we know that, we took it out. So if we put this back in by importing the private key back from this P12 certificate I just happen to have sitting here. Oops. Let's try that again. Okay, just import that as client cert. And then if we run our application again, there we go, everything works. So that's just two quick examples of how to use the AMQ error log, which you find in the Queue Manager install location/errors directory, and sometimes what you would find in the application console outputs in conjunction with this this tech note to actually diagnose your SSL problems.
That is awesome, buddy. Thanks ever so much. Chris, what I'll do is I will add the links into the video, and then when we blog about it, we'll put the links into the log as well. So and then we do a search, find it in our community on MQ Dev, on IBM Messaging, and also on our YouTube channel. Buddy, thank you so very much. That's awesome as always. Thank you, mate.
Okay, thanks.
Cheers, buddy. Take care now.
Bye.
Bye-bye.